Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Twinkle Jain.
Yes.
Please take it.
Thank you, sir.
So your name has been borrowed from Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You can remove the mask if you so like.
You can remove the mask.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Twinkle, you know something about due diligence?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Due diligence is a term which implies the following of ethical principles in corporate governance in certain companies and in professions like auditors.
Is it being followed in actual practice? Or?
So generally it is followed in actual practice, but there are certain instances where due diligence has been compromised at times.
What happens when the audit itself does not comply with the due diligence?
So it can lead to multiple consequences when the audit does not follow the principle of due diligence. Firstly, falsification of financial statements and positions of a company, which can impact the decision making of lenders and the related shareholders. Secondly, it also impacts the overall economy because of its consequences like scams.
Okay. Are you able to recall anything about the Satyam computer scam?
Yes, sir. So in Satyam scam, there was falsification of statements, there was artificial manipulation of sales, and money was taken from the shareholders and certain lenders in order to invest in several other properties of related parties.
So what happened thereafter? Was it investigated?
Um, yes, sir, the scheme came out because of the denial of the board of directors in the Satyam companies. And later on, there were charges against the company, and the owner of the company was arrested.
What was the role of independent directors in that company?
So, independent directors should bring out such kind of irregularities. But in case of Satyam, there were lack of principles followed while conducting audit or flagging the scams by independent directors due to their inherent conflict of interest with the management.
I see. There is a concept called, I'm not getting it. Anyway, forget about it. I'll ask you.
Okay, Twinkle. Now, one question I want to ask out of curiosity.
Yes, sir.
Why Jains are not in agriculture? Why?
So when Jainism as a religion was established, there were certain principles like non-violence.
Yes.
And the farmers, because of their reliance on usage of fertilizers and pesticides, a large number of farmers could not come to follow Jainism. And hence, historically, there were very less farmers in the Jainism community as a whole. Even now, such principles are upheld, and people try to avoid usage of
Yes, this is very good. Very
Yes.
good answer. But tell me, how can you live without eating agricultural products? Though you follow the principle of non-violence, which is the philosophy of Mahavir Jain
Yes.
and all the Tirthankars, but how can you live without agricultural products?
Yes, sir. The existence of life depends upon the products of agriculture, but there are several concepts of violence and non-violence in Jainism. While being a farmer, there is a direct conflict with the principle of violence. When one consumes such agricultural products, the violence here is unavoidable. Hence, one needs to consume these products.
Okay, I don't want to go more into detail on that side. Now you are interested in zero waste concept.
Yes,
That is
sir.
what you want to develop, zero waste life.
Yes, sir.
What is an ecosystem and how it is related to zero waste?
So an ecosystem is a combination of various types of, I would say, various combination of factors like lithosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. The relation of ecosystem with zero waste lifestyle is that an ecosystem is self-sustaining. The interaction between the biotic and abiotic components within an ecosystem denotes its self-reliance. And similarly, in zero waste lifestyle, we try to promote circular economy and reuse and recycling of products.
So somebody's waste becomes somebody else's food.
Yes, sir.
That is the concept. All
Yes.
the inanimate and animate parts of the ecosystem,
Yes, sir.
they interact in that way.
Yes.
So that's how the nature works.
Yes, sir.
So can you live with the zero waste concept in real life?
So practically speaking, there are certain areas where right now we cannot think of a zero waste lifestyle. For example, our reliance on packaged products like a packaged milk or a toothpaste. So we need to buy that in daily life, and we do not have any other alternative of such kind of plastic bottles right now. So, but what I think is that having a zero waste mindset while practicing our lifestyle, so half work is done here. At least we are minimizing the avoidable part.
What is minimalist approach?
So in minimalist approach, the resources that we use are minimum in number. The minimum amount that one need to sustain one's lifestyle is
And
only
how it is
used.
linked with aparigraha?
So even in concepts like aparigraha or non-possession, we respect others' needs and try to minimize our consumption only to the extent what one need.
Okay. Now coming to your subject, accountancy.
Yes.
The insolvency code, has it been successful in its objective?
So if we speak comparatively as its predecessors, yes, insolvency and bankruptcy code has improved on a lot of aspects. It has reduced the time of solving of cases from around 4.6 years to 270 to 330 days. Secondly, its focus is also on reviving the companies and not only liquidation, which was not in earlier cases. But yes, there are certain lacunas in insolvency and bankruptcy code yet. In a lot of cases, the time taken has exceeded the given time limit. And this is an area of concern in this code.
Now, how do you look at our relationship with Sri Lanka today?
So Sri Lanka is an important partner in India's foreign policy, and India's neighborhood first policy also advocates the importance given to our neighbors, and thus Sri Lanka holds importance. We have historical connections with Sri Lanka. We have people-to-people connect with Sri Lankan Tamilians and the state Tamil Nadu. Also, we have bilateral trade with Sri Lanka. India is also developing certain projects in Sri Lanka, so it holds a lot
We have
of.
bilateral trade or free trade with Sri Lanka?
So
We have free trade agreement with Sri
yes,
Lanka.
sir. Yes.
Bilateral trade we have with all the countries.
Yes.
That's not a special thing. We have free trade agreement with Sri Lanka.
Yes. Sir.
And given the Chinese, connection with Sri Lanka in different ways, how do you cope with that?
So yes, the Chinese interference and China's debt trap diplomacy has affected our projects in Sri Lanka. But at the same time, I think India is a more trusted partner because of our historical relations and the trustworthy nature of India as compared to China.
Thank you.
Okay. Twinkle,
Yes, sir.
what is the latest story which you have written, which is a positive story taken from the real life?
Yes.
Briefly describe it.
Yes, sir. So my very recent story was about my friend, and she was married at a very early age of 14. But
One
despite,
four.
yes, sir,
Okay.
and she faced certain problems like domestic violence in her marriage. But then she faced the challenges and brought courage in her. She ran away and focused on her academics and education, and now she is a practicing CA and got a rank among the top 50 in the country.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Excellent. What are non-fungible tokens?
So non-fungible tokens are digital assets which denotes an underlying asset which is in an artistic nature, like a painting, a music album, or anything like that.
Okay. And it cannot be duplicated.
Yes, sir. It cannot. It has its value which cannot be exchanged with any other asset. Though it can be duplicated, but the real token will always have a unique number which will differentiate it from other
And
tokens.
what is the technology used
So the
for
technology
creation of
used
this?
is blockchain technologies.
Okay. You must have heard about a possibility of introduction of CDC.
Yes.
We already have the digital payment system. What is the need of CDC?
So right now the digital payment ecosystem is more privatized. Having a currency which is backed by the government and institutions like RBI.
What is that currency called?
So it is central bank digital currency.
No. The currency which is backed by the state. There's a particular term for it. The word starts with F. Fiat currency.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So what is the... Yeah, please continue.
Yes, sir. So it will help establish more trust on such digital payment ecosystem.
How will it affect the banking?
Uh,
Their ability to lend the money, etc. If it is digitized, then people will just... There is no need of somebody to authenticate it. You can keep it on your phone. There need not be any deposits in the bank.
So I think right now the cash volume ratio in the economy is quite high, which is around 90%.
Okay.
And I think cash could not be replaced to such an extent. Still, a lot of people in the informal economy relies on cash management systems.
Okay. Do you think that Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme is in any way opposed to the idea of expansion of international commerce?
So Atmanirbhar Bharat focuses on the idea of self-reliance, but it should not be equated with import substitution or inward-looking strategy, because we are also focusing on supplying for the world as well as for India in sectors which are of our strength. But at the same time, India also needs to rely on its international partners for certain areas which we do not have self-sufficiency, like rare earth metals or crude oil requirements.
Excellent. Thank you.
I am able to recall the question. No?
Yes, sir.
There is a tradition called Santhara tradition
Yes.
in Jainism.
Yes.
Is it not equivalent to suicide?
So Santhara as a tradition is not similar or equivalent to suicide, because when a person commits suicide, he or she is involved with a lot of emotions like anger, like sadness. But when a person thinks of practicing Santhara, the decision is a very well informed decision, and the ultimate goal here is not to end one's life but to take death as in stage in one's life cycle.
Is it considered legitimate by the court?
So I think in my limited understanding, I think right now it is pending before the Supreme Court, and High Court is given judgment in which Santhara was not favored.
Not favored. Eh?
Yes, sir.
So one more question. We were talking about aparigraha.
Yes, sir.
It's a very beautiful concept. No?
Yes, sir.
Supposing we all follow aparigraha, what will be its impact on the India's economy?
So, first of all, the resource scarcity that we are facing will be minimized to a certain extent. So, secondly, the waste generation, because of our materialistic lifestyle, will come down to a very lower level. And thirdly, focus will be on people around and not on material things. So, this is what I think will happen.
Okay, one last question. Jainism preaches non-violence.
Yes, sir.
What is your opinion about death penalty? Should it be banned?
So, I think death penalty in general should be done away with, because I think there is always a scope of reformation among a person irrespective of the crime he committed. And also India's justice system is not of retributive rather than a reformative nature. So I think yes, death penalty can be done away with.
Twinkle,
Yes, ma'am.
tell me about Jainism. What is the philosophy behind Jainism?
Ma'am, Jainism as a religion is founded upon various tenets and principles like non-stealing, non-possession, and celibacy, non-violence, and truth.
What about the cycle of birth, attaining moksha?
Yes, ma'am. Jainism focuses on getting oneself free from the cycle of life and death by attaining self purification through knowledge.
Okay. And what is your philosophy in life?
Ma'am, for me, life is a process of learning where every day since our childhood we are learning something more and more. With regard to concepts like moksha, I haven't contemplated on such philosophies yet.
Okay. So besides learning, what else?
Trying to keep people around me positive, optimistic, and being myself the same is, I think, what is life's philosophy. Also, a good health and a happy mind.
So how will this translate into the working of a civil servant?
Ma'am, I think civil servants face daily challenges while working in his or her area. So, life as a philosophy of being happy, keeping others happy, being positive and optimistic will help to deal with these kind of challenges in a better manner. Also, working for the welfare of the society with a compassionate attitude is also an area in which these philosophies can help.
There is a land dispute which comes to you between the family.
Okay.
Now, what of these principles will apply there and how will you work on that?
Firstly, ma'am, I think equitable distribution is
As per law, not equitable.
okay.
Your allegiance is to, as a civil servant, your allegiance is to.
Constitutional values
Yeah.
and legislations.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I'll look forward to the various laws of inheritance and ancestral properties through which such land needs to be divided. Also, the origin of the land and existence of any will by the ancestors will also need to be looked to.
Okay. What is the difference between unfurling a flag and hoisting a flag?
Ma'am, I think that unfurling a flag is unfolding of a flag when it is kept compact, maybe in a box or something, and hoisting of a flag is flag at a height falling with along with the air on a pole or stand.
Okay, so when do we unfurl and when do we hoist?
Ma'am, I think I'll have to read about that.
Okay, please do that.
Yes.
Looking at your generation, double income, no kids. Do you agree with that? Where is it leading the society to?
Ma'am, I think that the double income or the household income and no kids, particularly speaking about India, I think it is really a long way to go. I don't think that such kind of practices are prevalent in particular sections of society. But when talking about India in general, I think that uh, this is not what I can apply to.
Not you can?
Uh, I can't correlate.
You can't correlate. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Twinkle. Can we wait outside? Please go on. Twinkle, excuse me. We had consultations among ourselves, and on behalf of the board, I would like to share our thoughts
Yes, sir.
on your performance. You had a very good personality, and the performance has been quite good,
Yes, sir.
very good rather. And we are impressed by your articulation, your logical approach, crisp answers. These are all the desirable, in UPSC interviews.
Yes, sir.
The answers should not be long. Your answers were just to the point and very concise, precise. And Jainism, he and myself asked you about some complicated questions, traditions.
Yes, sir.
So you answered them very well. Read more about it. Your philosophy to life.
Yes.
अच्छा, इसमें आपका कॉमर्स बैकग्राउंड है, तो कॉमर्स का तो आप जवाब दे देंगे. आई आस्क्ड यू समथिंग अबाउट स्कैम, कंप्यूटर के बारे में बता दीजिए कि व्हाट इज द रोल ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर्स. नाउ दीस डेज देयर हैज बीन ए paradigm shift sort of thing, in the appointment of independent directors.
Yes, sir.
They are not professionals. They are all non-professionals who are being. I don't want to
Yes, sir.
say more about it. So there was a suggestion that government will form a panel. Ministry of Corporate Affairs will form a panel of independent directors, all professionals, and they'll be trained in this
Yes, sir.
particular field. Nothing of that sort happened, and now the result is before everyone to see.
Yes, sir.
तो इसके बारे में आप जरूर पढ़ लीजिए. और इकोनॉमिक्स के बारे में आपको जानना चाहिए. आर यू रीडिंग इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स?
Yes, sir.
उसको रेगुलरली पढ़िए. उसमें अपना
Yes,
इकोनॉमिक्स में भी क्वेश्चन आ सकते हैं.
Yes, sir.
प्रेजेंट सिनेरियो, वर्ल्ड सिनेरियो, उसमें आपको काफ़ी क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे. आत्मनिर्भरता का सर ने पूछा था आपसे.
Yes, sir.
वो ज़रूर इम्पोर्टेंट है कि what is the lesson that India should learn from the Russia-Ukraine war in matters of वो भी पढ़ लीजिए. आत्मनिर्भरता
Yes, sir.
in arms manufacturing. No, Russia will not be able to supply us arms. That is for sure. And we can't go and beg America for whatever reasons. We may purchase, but it's not better. The best course of action that we should manufacture these arms indigenously.
Yes,
ये
sir.
क्वेश्चन आपको काफी पॉसिबिलिटी है इसकी. और इंडोनेशिया के बारे में आपने बताया था, पाम ऑयल के बारे में.
Yes, sir.
उसका इम्पैक्ट तो आपको बता
Yes.
दिया था. तो ये है. और आप इकोनॉमिक वो करने के लिए आप इकोनॉमिक सर्वे जरूर पढ़िएगा.
Yes, sir.
बजट के बारे में पढ़िए, कैसा क्या क्या है इकोनॉमिक सर्वे में, क्या थीम है,
Yes, sir.
वो भी आपको जानना चाहिए. These are all topical questions.
Yes, sir.
And they will certainly, occupy much major part of your interviews.
Yes, sir.
Security scenario के बारे में आप जरूर पढ़िएगा.
Yes, sir.
That is the most topical and current topic. Rashia के साथ हमारा क्या अब है? Why are we avoiding a straight stand in this present war?
Yes, sir.
We call ourselves non-aligned. Is it neutral? Are we being neutral? क्या है difference? Neutrality, non-alignment is not neutrality.
Yes, sir.
It's to safeguard our own interest. तो उसके बारे में भी आप बताइए. China has started suddenly, massing its troops on the LAC from 6,000 to 80,000 within 2-3 days time. आज के दिन में आएगा।
Yes, sir.
तो इंडिया क्या स्टेप लेगा उसके बारे में, because that is very very grave.
Yes, sir.
And China has also started incursions into Taiwan. तो उसमें India is also should
Yes,
be very
sir.
alert and safeguard its territorial integrity and everything. तो ये आप सब पढ़िए। और एक डिप्लोमेटिक मैगजीन है कि उसके बारे में आप जरूर, उसको 2-3 इशू जो पिछले हैं आप
Yes,
पढ़ लीजिए।
sir.
डिप्लोमेट,
Okay.
तो आपको गिव एन इनसाइट into the function, into the diplomatic aspect of foreign affairs policy.
Yes, sir.
बड़े अच्छे एम्बेसडर्स लोग हैं, he is a former ambassador,
Yes,
तो
sir.
ये भी कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं। तो उसमें आपको काफ़ी अच्छा व्यू मिल जाएगा आपको।
Yes.
और एक कट द क्लटर शेखर गुप्ता का है, वो आप यूट्यूब में आता है, वो बहुत अच्छा यूजफुल माना जाता है।
Okay, sir.
And we advise every candidate to watch that video
Yes.
of शेखर गुप्ता, कट द क्लटर। उसमें करंट इश्यूज आपका काफी हद तक हो जाता है। करंट इश्यूज में, करंट अफेयर्स में आप बिल्कुल अप टू डेट रहिए, बस यही
Yes,
है।
sir.
चाहे वो डोमेस्टिक हो चाहे इंटरनेशनल हो, उसमें आपको काफी अच्छा रहना पड़ेगा और अपना हेल्थ का ख्याल जरूर रखिए।
Yes, sir.
Because I found that I noticed some dryness in your mouth. I don't know whether I could notice it. ये अवॉइड करिए अपना।
Yes, sir.
Keep good nutritious diet, because these days are very corona is again on the comeback, and so take as much water as possible. कब है आपका बेटा इंटरव्यू?
10th में.
10th में है ना, तो आप
Yes, sir.
सारा कुछ ये ध्यान रखिए, हाइड्रेशन अपना कंप्लीट रखिए,
Yes, sir.
so that because if there is no wetness in the mouth, then speech clarity is affected. वो आपको नुकसान पहुंचा सकती है, तो वेटनेस पूरी होनी चाहिए आपको।
Yes,
So
sir.
drink as much water as possible. Juice. Nutrition is very important for it. And always take a 9-hour sleep. I always tell people, take 8 to 9 hours sleep a day before the interview in the
Yes,
night.
sir.
ये बहुत जरूरी है, because if you don't have a sound sleep, everything will fall flat, which is very very important.
Yes, sir.
So this all, sir, आप कुछ कहें?
Okay, Twinkle, you have done very well. We hope you will do even better in UPSC. But a few things I would like to suggest about your state MP.
Yes, sir.
You should know what are the heritage sites and river things, and
Yes, sir.
all the special characteristic, the even cleanliness. You are getting some of the awards
Yes,
and
sir.
all that. So keep that in mind. Then the environmental issues, because you have written zero waste lifestyle. So environmental issues will come. So you should know from Agenda 21 Rio Summit down to COP26. Go
Yes,
through the entire history briefly and revise whatever you have. I'm sure you have read it already,
Yes, sir.
but revise it fully. All the landmarks, whether it is Paris Agreement and then further
Yes, sir.
down, and whatever it's, we are having this Solar Alliance and all that. Combine that. Then Vipassana, so you should know a little bit about Dhyan, meditation, what are different techniques of meditation.
Yes, sir.
Why Vipassana is important, why you observe your breath, and in other techniques you observe something else. So then somebody might ask you that question. Foreign Affairs, our chairman has already explained to you that with the neighbors, with the US, with Russia, with China,
Yes, sir.
our relations very important, that part. Then of course economic issues, because you are commerce student.
Yes, sir.
So some of the economic issues, what is the state of our current state of our economy, inflation, price rise, this is one problem.
Yes, sir.
Growth is another problem. So how do we tackle that? And the Reserve Bank of India has monetary and fiscal policy in that respect. So have a look at that. And then current issues.
Yes,
Follow
sir.
the newspapers and all that. Now you said due diligence, only ethical side. It's not only ethical.
Yes, sir.
Due diligence implies all other things. Even the legal issue is coming to the play.
Yes, sir.
It's not only ethical. Due diligence means all the aspects of that problem should be examined. Whether they are ethical, whether they are societal, whether they are legal, whether they are something else. So it's not
Yes, sir.
confined to ethical.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I think you will do very well. Just keep your confidence full. You
Yes.
will do extremely well.
When you respond, if you utilize 5 to 10 seconds in structuring your response in the order of priority,
Yes.
that would be great. For
Okay,
instance, in Atmanirbhar Bharat, spend about 5-10 seconds in understanding the scope of the question, what is being asked,
Okay, sir.
and what all you should cover. For instance, in Atmanirbhar Bharat, just examine the aspect whether our tariffs have gone up. If the tariffs have gone up, that means we are erecting tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers, and India has done exceedingly well when it has opened up to the world.
Mm-hmm.
So if tariffs have gone up and there is a negative list of imports for the Ministry of Defense, then these over 100 things you cannot import.
Mm-hmm.
So is it a old wine in the new bottle, or is it really something different?
Yes.
Those aspects are there. So one is off the cuff reply that no, it's a great thing and we must rely on ourselves.
Okay, sir.
Precisely that is what we did in 70s. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So your thing was very good. See, theory of comparative advantage. Wherever we have the comparative advantage, we must rely on ourselves. But closing down or erecting barriers to the trade may not be such a great idea. So this is one aspect. So take an overall scenario into account
Yes,
when
sir.
you respond. So you can structure your answers. This goes for all questions.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Okay then.
I had
you
a
have
doubt.
something.
Yes, sir.
You have got any doubt?
Yes, sir. So the ma'am asked last question about that double income and no kids. So how should I approach such kind of questions?
The perception of the modern generation.
Ma'am, I'm not getting it.
Whatever is the perception of the younger generation, we just present that honestly. That yes, in urban pockets, urban sectors, this is a trend which is now coming up. But in the rest of the country, in the rural pockets, it is not. Or if there are any examples, I think in Maharashtra or some place, you can check on that. There are examples of, and that was a traditional way of living together and yet not, being married in the marriage sense. So it's a social system which is changing or which is evolving. And with changing times, I think we need to accept that.
Yeah, it's a change which is happening, but it's happening in a very, very marginal way in India.
Yes.
In other countries, it has happened in larger way.
Yes.
In India, it's happening marginal.
The nature of economy, which dictates this.
Yeah.
See, during the 60s and 70s, when women became the key punch operators in America, the children were left alone and they turned to a whole lot of things in like drugs and other things. So how the structure of the economy leads to social consequences.
Yes, sir.
So double income, no kids means people are considering, getting married late and postponing the decision to have children.
Yes.
Not necessarily no children, maybe at a till certain age.
There's also an acronym called DINK.
Yeah, that is what.
Double income, no kids.
Okay.
It's quite.
It's quite prevalent.
Because they want to maintain a certain lifestyle, and children just don't fit into that lifestyle. The working conditions and their own life.
So this is, you say this is not end of the world because everybody is not going to believe in this.
Okay.
Otherwise, the world will come to an end.
And new formats keep emerging. You see, earlier you used to have 4 children.
One little wave in the ocean which goes away. New wave will come. This is the way you are.
Not necessarily. It could be a trend which picks up also. Because you need that kind of an income today to maintain your lifestyle. So there is no place. Look at the Chinese.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Unacademy. Let's crack it.